9 out of 10 people who I speak to about interviews have real nerves, have a real issue with the nerves, and that can be really debilitating. It can really hold them back in, progressing from the first to the second to an offer. And not being prepared is probably the biggest, for the different scenarios that you like to face at interviews, probably one of the biggest reason that nerves come about. And how can we actually manage these nerves? Because nerves and anxiety and fear are all natural instincts to scenarios that are unfamiliar to us. So it stands to reason, if we're not prepared for the different scenarios, then we're always going to be nervous. So it's important to prepare. And just the other day, actually, I was speaking to a lawyer about her preparation and helping her with the preparation, and it really became obvious to me why she was nervous. Because she asked me, Alex, what's a panel interview? And I was surprised, but I obviously explained to her that a panel interview is where you have more than one person interviewing you at the same time. Usually at the same time. And there are 3 or 4 other scenarios that you need to be prepared for, so that you can really begin to manage your nerves and just really focus on the interview. The other scenario, or another interview scenario, is a pre-selection interview. Now, the pre-selection interview is usually done by a recruitment consultancy, and it's usually done via the phone. And this is because the employer is trying to manage quite a high volume of applications. So what they want to do is pick out a few resume, a few CV, and ring the candidates who look like they could be a good match to take on to the next stage. So that's the pre-selection interview. It's a totally different game to the next, or at least the other scenario, which is a selection interview or a shortlisting interview, usually done face to face, and it's usually done by an employer, and you have one or more people doing that interview. And again, you could probably imagine it's totally different speaking on the phone than it is talking to somebody in person. So again, you'd prepare in a totally different way to the phone interview. And then you've got assessment center interviews, where you've probably got more than one interviewer. You've probably got recruiters in there. You may even have employers and recruiters at the same time. You'll have more than one candidate in there. So it's a competitive environment. But again, the etiquette and the approach is totally different. So a totally different preparation is required. You might have an assessment center. You might have numerical tests. You might have all different types of tests. So you can probably imagine totally different preparation. And the final thing really is, how can you find out what type of interview you're likely to be facing? Simply ask. So if you found your job via a recruitment agency, it's important to ask the recruitment consultant, what type of interview are you likely to be facing? And the second question to ask is, who is going to be there? So is it the chief executive? Is it going to be your prospective line manager? You need to know not only what the style of interview is, the scenario is, but you also need to know who is in there, because you need to know about the people in there. You need to understand who they are, what makes them tick, why they do what they do, all those kinds of questions. So preparation is key, and understanding the different scenarios is key to manage your nerves at interview. If you've got an interview coming up and you need some help to prepare, or if you want to test yourself in a mock interview environment and want to know how to answer questions and what questions to ask, then click the link below for a free 20-minute strategy call with a qualified and experienced interview coaching professional.